Do you do much undercover work?
I look like a cop. You know, I couldn't get away with any kind of undercover work. But I know lots of people who don't look like cops.
Being a woman, I get in places that most people don't. That's
Usually
one
security,
advantage.
Yeah, usually security guards open the doors.
I'll smile and they open the door and in I go.
I have wigs and hats and things like that when it's necessary. That's my hooker wig.
But if it came down to where I needed her or her daughter, I'd bring them with me. But I definitely do everything in my power to get in. The MPAA is that pinkish color building, and they've got it all to where it's impossible for you just to walk onto the premises. Here they have an intercom, and a security guy will come on and ask you what you want. He won't let you come in. It's all gated in here, locked and secure, so there's absolutely no way of going in unless you're invited. And I don't think they're going to invite us. So there's absolutely no way we're going to get in that building. Okay, well, it's lunchtime right now, so they're gonna all start coming out. We'll take some plates, get some information.
All right. What are you looking at now?
That security guard over there.
Is he gonna make it harder to do what we have to do, you think?
No, unless he starts looking at us. There was one moment where I thought he did look over here, so I just want to make sure. Yeah.
You think so?
But he just probably glanced. Okay, Lindsay, we have a black Honda. Female, Caucasian. 5XF 3CV. I kind of get a thrill out of knowing I'm watching someone and they don't know they're being watched. There's something exciting about that. I mean, so, Lindsay, write this down for SWF3, brand new Mercedes. Very attractive woman, whoever she is. So it's a slow process. This could take 6 months, and I'm not even sure if it's possible. I mean,
This is like saying go into Fort Knox and bring out a few bricks. We just want to see what color they are.
Okay, I was a full-time motion picture rater with the MPAA for about 4.5 years, from September of 1995 to March of 2000. I believe the starting salary at that time for a full-time rater was $30,000.
Generally, in the morning, you would meet and discuss the movies that you had seen the previous day. And so first, people would kind of talk about them if there was any issue that, this seemed kind of violent, or there's too much sex here, or people would sort of give their opinions on why they thought it should be one rating or another.
There weren't any clear set of standards that in a sense you were taught and then had to apply. There was no kind of rater training process. People were hired, they were put into the screening room, put in the rating chair, and started rating films.
Sometimes they would show us like an edited version of the movie after it had been given like an X or an R rating, and they wanted to change it. And the board would be very pleased when they would saw the re-edited version. They, this is much better the way that we told them how to re-edit the film. It plays much better now. And I found that to be very offensive.
I'm going to say the F word, and I believe it's the fascist system. I mean, they have just established themselves, they have injected themselves as a vital, necessary entity, and it isn't. We have to police these people. We have to determine that these people have our best intentions in mind. And if they don't, then we will correct them.
Well, you can't talk about the history of film without talking about the history of censorship. And most people see Will Hays as the sort of first formal attempt on the part of the industry as a whole to institute self-regulation.
News on the march. The Roaring Twenties choke on the exhaust of Hollywood scandal. Chief offender, Fatty Arbuckle, a comedian turned murder suspect after a starlet dies at his raunchy Tinseltown party. Under fire as Sin City, major studios formed the Motion Picture Producers and Distributors Association, hiring Postmaster General Will Hayes to restore decency to the movies by implementing a strict production code.
But in the 1950s, you have a handful of films that get released that challenge the PCA. The first is The Moon is Blue.
You won't mind coming up, will you?
I'm not so sure. Would you try to seduce me?
And it was clear that for Hollywood not to look sort of hopelessly antiquated, they were going to have to figure out a new way to bring reality into the movies.
How about Hump the Hostess, huh? How about that? How about Hump the Hostess? You want to play that one? You want to play Hump the Hostess, huh?
Down.
Huh? Oh, yeah, you want to wait till they get her off into the bushes.
Hump the hostess!
Just shut up, will you?
The language in Virginia Woolf was really shocking and new. And I think it's really what inspired Jack Valenti to come up with the MPA rating system.
No film can ever survive the brazen hiss of public scorn.
When Jack Valenti became president of the MPA back in, I guess, 1966, he came from Washington. He came from the president's office where he had been Lyndon Johnson's man, and he became the man of Lew Wasserman and of the other owners of Hollywood. He came to serve their interest. He came as their lobbyist.
The fact that he did come out of Washington, I think, was, Hollywood felt comfortable that he could protect them from the people that he knew back there because he was a Washington insider.
And Hollywood, when you ask what their economic interests had to do with ratings, if there weren't ratings and there was censorship, there would be 50 different censor boards.
In my opinion, the MPAA uses the fear of government censorship to keep power and control in the motion picture industry. If you look at the Supreme Court decisions, key decisions in the 1950s and 1960s, there is no real threat of government censorship of the motion picture industry after that time, except for the area of child pornography.
It would be much better if the government came in. I mean, it's wrong for the government to come in, but if those were the two options, you'd rather have the government in because the government, whatever the government does, is subject at least to some kind of judicial review.
The current rating system is unconstitutional. I mean, if somebody wanted to mount a constitutional case against it, well, it's an agreement. It's an industry agreement. Now, the industry's never been competitive. It's always been collusive. Really, from the very beginning, the studios were vertically integrated monopolies. They controlled development, they controlled production, they controlled post-production, they controlled distribution, and they controlled exhibition. And there were two big strikes. There was the 1941 Disney strike, in which labor won sort of a fairly clear victory. And then you had the 1945 Warner Brothers strike, in which you had the battle between the two big industry unions, and you had the studio hiring scabs, and you had high-powered water hoses used on picketers. And one way of dealing with these increasingly powerful unions was to make participation, membership in a union, dangerous.
Calling the House Un-American Activities Committee to order, Chairman J. Parnell Thomas of New Jersey opens an inquiry into possible communist penetration of the Hollywood film industry.
So during the blacklist, the two questions that were asked routinely at the hearings were,
Are you a member of the Communist Party? And have you ever held any position in the Screenwriters Guild?
First of all, asking the two questions together suggests that there's a connection between the two. And asking the second question makes saying yes a very dangerous act. So to confess seems the wrong word, but to confess membership in a union would be tantamount to accepting a life sentence, a blacklist. You know, people generally associate this with McCarthyism. Well, it had nothing to do with McCarthy at all. I mean, once the MPA got on board, the MPA did it all themselves. And the blacklist was implemented by the very body that controlled the industry.
There is no subversive propaganda on the American screen, and there isn't going to be. Communists hate our films because they show a way of life that they hate. A life where free men work and play in the ways of freedom.
The Motion Picture Association's always been about public relations, making sure everybody in America is happy with the movie industry. The movie industry appears socially responsible. The movie industry appears to care about everyday Americans.
Well, the Motion Picture Association is composed of the 7 largest producers of film and television in the world, the old great studio names, and I've been the head for 34 years. My greatest achievement as head of the MPA is I survived.
When I left the board, it was brought to my attention that I was expected to remain completely silent about any of my experiences on the rating board.
I suddenly was offered a large increase in my salary, but here, sign this, and lo and behold, it was another, you may not ever say anything, write anything, etc., without Jack Valenti's permission.
One thing that I have learned in my long, and some would say checkered career, is that in Hollywood and Washington, there are no secrets. And when somebody thinks there's a secret, there isn't.
You shall not, during the term of your employment or thereafter, disclose to any other person, firm, or corporation, nor use in any way confidential information relating to the MPAA, which may cause or be calculated to cause injury or loss to any of the above mentioned. When I asked Joan Graves if they could put in writing what specific forms of information they considered confidential, they refused to do that.
Really?
Yeah. And said, no, we deliberately leave the what's in writing fuzzy so that at any time we can use our discretion as far as suing former employees who disclose what we consider to be too much information. And they indicated that they would not hesitate to sue if they felt that there was injury to their interests.
Thank you for calling Motion Picture Association of America. To access our company directory, please press 9. Please enter the first 3 letters of the person's last name. There are no matches to the 3 letters you entered. To try another name, enter 1.
Go down another one.
Please enter the first 3 letters of the person's last name. Please hold on while I try
I thought we were going to get more matches than this.
This is Marianne Costanza, the ratings department. I'm either on another line or away from my desk. If you need immediate assistance, please dial 0 for the operator. Thank you.
The ratings. This is the one I think is a rater.
That's camera, right?
Yeah, that's the pinhole.
It's just something I can put on my shirt.
Yeah.
Could you walk into a restaurant with it?
Yeah.
Like, what's your range, your wide range?
It looks like this.
Just right here?
That's good.
Oh, yeah, that's very good.
We'll take this one in the shotgun.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so now today, you want to...
You want to come in or you want us to hide in the car?
Yeah, are you cold or are you...
Yeah, she's cold, but she's going to be wearing... It looks like a button if you're not really... I mean, for